if you're a good-looking girl, right, and you can do some content, and you can make 30 grand a month doing this, why the hell would you not do it?
So I can just tell my wife I'm doing charity.
That's that's if you do charity work,
I'm
yeah.
doing charity.
It's for a good cause. You're
Yeah.
subscribing, you're buying for a good cause.
We got it next. That's how you finesse. We come for they neck.
Hey, welcome to the Sales Point. We have in a very special episode here from the beautiful island of Cyprus in our new place.
City,
Yeah, our new place.
Lanaka.
And we have a special guest. Let me put it in here. There he is.
There we go.
It's Mark.
Well,
He is the owner and founder of MyBellaMuse.com.
yes,
Yeah, because
the new disruptor.
today's episode is about the adult industry. Who better than a person that is actually working in the industry, you know? So tell us a little bit about yourself, Mark, and about your website.
Afternoon, guys. Thank you for having me on. So yeah, MyBellaMuse is an online adult content creator platform, very similar to OnlyFans, Fansly, and a number of platforms out there. I was involved in the adult industry myself. I had an adult toy and lingerie site website over 20 years ago, and I think the power of the internet has driven us on and come on so much further than what it was back then. It's made these sort of platforms and e-commerce sites so much more accessible to people. Originally, I was actually just looking to get back into the market, to go back with an e-commerce store doing toys and lingerie, and I started speaking to a few other people regarding the whole matter, and one thing led to another, and I ended up getting into kind of like management, right? Management with OnlyFans, call them OnlyFans models, right? But girls that did content, and from there, when I started looking over contracts with them, we started sort of seeing that there was a lot of grey areas, or so I thought, grey areas with the industry, and I thought, you know what, we can probably build something a lot better than this, or that functions better, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, they're big, they've been there first, and they make tons and tons of money, but we don't need to go up against them, and I don't see them as competition, because there's a big enough pie for everybody to make a lot of money, and as long as we do our job right and the platform works right, which we know it will, I think it'll be very, very successful, and it'll be a very well talked about one. I'm not going to give away many secrets of what the platform has on.
No, of course.
Simply because this is going to be for Dennis. You and I have spoke about this quite at length, and I know you're excited about it as well. But these are things that are going to be revealed as and when the platform goes live, and all being well, either later on this month or early next month, we start onboarding all of our content creators, and we've got loads, we've got hundreds of them ready to come on board. And then once they've kind of understood the configurations of it and we simplified it, then we will open it to users to come on and start subscribing, and then we'll be away, and you'll see there's a lot of differences with ours to theirs, and I've taken my knowledge from sales and my knowledge from the adult industry with toys to then come in and bring it all together with what we've been doing with the marketing and the content creation. So I'm very excited for it, and I do feel that it's going to be one of these ones that's going to take off probably a little bit of a slow burner at the start, but I think it'll start to snowball and become a very large platform very fast.
Can you give us a small teaser to how you're gonna change it a little bit? How you're gonna change the market?
Well, basically the way it changes the market is we're offering certain features on it that take the user experience, the fan experience to the next level, with certain technologies that we've bought licenses for. This isn't stuff that you're going to see on any other content creator platform because we own the national copyrights to it. So this won't be going anywhere else, and this is one key thing that will set us apart to the rest of them. I don't want to go too much into it, but next step was, I promise you,
Waiting for launch. Waiting for launch.
yeah, when we do this, we're actually launching with this. When we do launch with it, and the content, the models and the girls we've talked to, both girls and guys that we've talked to about this and demonstrated the feature to them live, they're blown away by it, and they're like, "How the hell have you done this?" I'm like, "Yeah,
I saw a little bit.
two and a half years worth of work to get this right, with lots of sleepless nights, lots of hours working, lots of coders and developers, and getting this right." And we're just at these final stages now. We're fine tweaking everything and fine tuning it before it goes live, and it is really exciting.
When should we expect the live date?
So, all being well, we've got our MVP, and that's scheduled to be towards the back end of April. And at that point, we can start to onboard, models, content creators, anybody that wants to join the platform to sell content, videos, photos, etc. And then around mid-May, we will open the gates basically for users to come on. We'll start all of our marketing with it. There will be marketing prior to that, and people will be able to go on and join the platform. They're just not going to be able to buy anything or do anything just yet, because we don't want them to. We want to build a bit of an audience first. So probably within 2 or 3 weeks of onboarding all the initial, I would say the initial number of models that we want to get on board, we'll just slowly start opening the gates for anyone to join and come and see what we're all about.
I have another question. So, as a business owner, how did you come up with the name? Like, what do you need to think about before launching? Let's say an adult project. You have some experience.
So MyBellaMuse, it's derived from a few different languages, and actually means my beautiful creator. So Bella and Muse, Bella is a part Italian, Muse is /Greek/Latin, and it translates to my beautiful creator. It's broken, but that is, to us, that's what it translates to. Ultimately though, when you work in marketing, and anybody will tell you this in marketing, when you do an ad or you have a link, it's irrelevant what the name is, because people just click the link, and when they click the link, that just directs you and takes you to the page that you're going to, or the platform that you're going to. So, did we want to go out there and call it something like, fans only, and have a lawsuit there, or go, all my fans? There was no point, because that's been done so much, and it looks like we're copying them. And as much as the platform is similar, we're not trying to copy, but we're offering different user experiences for all of the fans that are going to be on there. And we just thought, let's call it something else. Let's not try and take away what we call a stigma of what it is. It is the adult industry, but there are a lot of content creators that will come on there and will be able to use this, that don't necessarily do nude content, don't do sexual content, that do other stuff. OnlyFans was born originally through lockdown, and it started to take off in the adult world, and that's where it went. But it wasn't actually originally aimed at adult content, so to speak. It was more so clean content. It just ended up going that way, and that's kind of how they got there. But yeah, ours is I've just, we keep it what it is. Ours is 18 plus, and I'm just being a realist on it. You can go on no matter what you do, but 99% of what we will be selling and what will be on there will be adult content.
Mark, that there are two things about this podcast that you don't know. The first one is that the only people watching and listening is my mom, my sister, and my mother-in-law. And the second one is that we're teaching them, the three of them, how to pass over those possible obstacles that every single business owner faces. So, can you tell us about?
Tips.
Huh?
Some tips
Yeah, can you tell us some tips? I mean, I guess
from the adult.
experiences that you had in the past, obstacles, uh, not only for my Bellamus, but also for since you started as a business person.
Well,
How?
he had the sex toys too, so he
So yeah,
want to keep it adult.
the biggest, so if you're talking about the adult industry in general,
Yes.
the biggest obstacle anybody's going to face is banking.
Payment processing also.
Listen, running a business and sales, that's not hard. If you've got a good budget and you've got a good platform and you've got a good marketing company behind you who know how to optimize your SEO and OSEO, you can sell. As long as your price point's right and you price well within the market, you'll sell. That's not hard. What is hard is getting, sorry, I've got this on silent. What is hard is getting a bank and a merchant bank to support you, because this industry is deemed high risk. In my opinion, it's not, and I'll explain why in a second. But they deem it to be high risk. I don't think it is high risk personally, as long as your terms and conditions set out, you know, like anything with distance selling regulations and trading standards, whatever. I'm talking UK law here and international law. As long as you meet the criteria there's as much risk with this as there is going online and buying a jumper that may be the wrong size and you want to send back. As long as your refund policy, returns policy, and everything is there, you're good. Problem is that banks go, this is the adult industry, and they can be very selective about who they want to take, because they want to keep more of their image squeaky clean. So they don't want to say, well, we're associated with this, just in case they get bad press. However, when you look at, for example, OnlyFans, they now are working with Stripe. Stripe don't want to touch other companies like me because we're a startup. We don't do the volume that they do. You know, we're not doing the billions of turnover. They're doing what I think they did 9.6 billion in turnover last year. So, you know, they've then got the power to approach these banks, these merchants, and say, do you know what, we'll move our business to you. However, these are our terms. So they control it, because realistically, no merchant is going to knock back billions of pounds worth of business on an annual basis, because they're going to make fortunes from that. So as a new startup, it would be nice if there was more support. And let's be honest, the adult industry is one of the biggest industries that there is in the world. It's the most profitable, one of the most profitable ones.
Agreed.
Yeah, after drugs.
Also for us.
Yeah, but as well though, you know, you've got the side where you guys have been fantastic, right? And in terms of, you've helped us from day one. You know, Dennis, you know, we've been talking over a year now, right? When we've been talking about this project, and as we've been going on, there's been different areas that we've been looking to bring expertise in on, you know, for pay-ins, mass payouts and things like that. And there's been companies that, and I'm not naming them, that just have, as you know, have been a nightmare for us. And other companies have come back and said, you know what, yeah, we will charge you this much on a percentage. Now, as a platform, certain things have to make sense to business. Why should a banking system, right, a merchant system, make more money than us? They're not realistically taking the risk. We are. Because ultimately, if it doesn't work, they'll cease trading with us and we'll just move on to someone else. But that's not what we want. That's not the way that I want to operate the business. I want to operate the business where, you know, if I look at now what I do now in my other sites, we have very, very small transaction fees. And I look and I go, there's probably more risk doing this business, right, than there is doing the adult business. But I get, because it's clean, it's squeaky clean, it's something everybody does every day, the merchant fees are this low and they don't care. As soon as you mention the word adult, they go through the roof and they go, well, it's risky. But let's be honest, look, if you're look at this situation hypothetically, right? You're married and you subscribe to OnlyFans, right? Or if your wife comes up and goes, oh, what's this to see on there? Are you going to realistically go, oh, you know, I subscribe to OnlyFans, I'll have a refund? You're not going to say anything. You're not going to let your wife see your bank statement, for one.
Well,
And you're not
I
going
will do it. I will just tell, well, I like boobies and asses, sorry. I like big butts and I cannot
Hey,
lie.
listen, but if you like it, that's great. And if you're open in your relationship about it and you like it,
Most
great.
aren't.
But that's the problem. Most aren't. Most people will lie and deceive. The same on adults. If they buy a toy, right? When they used to buy adult toys, we would never really get any refunds from anyone unless they broke the toy. But if it had been used, we wouldn't take it back anyway, because you've used it, right? Well, you can't. There was a policy we did change after time where we could take them back within a certain time and they could be given a partial refund, or we'd exchange it. If it was a manufacturing fault, they'd get a free exchange. But the majority of people aren't going to go ring the bank and go, hey, I'm sorry, my wife saw this statement here. I subscribed and bought a subscription or you know, or a private video from OnlyFans. Can I have a refund? You know, it's one of these things.
It's also a digital good, so it's harder to. It's easier to prove that you used it because you have those
Yeah.
timestamps and you can see what did they actually visually look at. With
Well,
the
remember,
toy, it's different. You can say you can't like say, "Hey, this toy broke my fanny. I want I want to give it back."
yeah. So look, one of the things that we've done as well with our platform, and I will give this little bit of information away, is that, you know, if you order a custom video and that's not delivered on, which sometimes through other platforms, which I won't mention, you can order them. And we're actually going through the situation with one of our models now where they haven't delivered the video. And I said, you're going to get a refund or, you know, charge back on that. And that was a $450 custom video. You need to provide this to the client that's bought it. Otherwise, you
It's
are going to have
customer
a refund.
support.
And so now, if they've been delivered, again, T's and C's are wrote. You know, if it's a custom one-off item, then there are no refunds. It's all full and
Yeah.
final. You know, so as long as the banks support your terms, and the banks have changed more recently, they are more supportive. Whereas back in the day, 10, 15, 20 years ago, even 3 years ago, you put a chargeback and you got that money straight away on a chargeback. And we just had to deal with, you know, what it is, and you couldn't get that money back. Now, it's a lot harder for anyone to get a chargeback in the way the banks were. They're actually a little bit more supportive over the businesses. Whether they've been hit harder because of it, because they've terminated accounts and their revenue's gone down, I don't know what the reason is. Maybe they're looking at it in a more open-minded view, which seems to be that they are, which is beneficial for us as well, you know, so we can do that. But we've also looked at certain things that, you know, we've experienced from chargebacks, that if there is somebody who's on the platform and they do a chargeback, if they've had content and they've just done a chargeback because they think, you know what, I'm going to be a twat and I'm going to do a chargeback, we just blacklist them from the platform. They will never be able to join again, because when they go back to ID and we do a verification on them, they'll automatically be just wiped out from our site, and we'll never let them back on, because from the adult industry, your chargeback rate is very, very low in comparison to what it would be with another industry. So we have to keep that as low as possible. And if we start getting people coming on there, obviously, you know, we're using, you know, chargebacks 9/11 with big companies like DAZN for these sort of things. So we are protecting ourselves in every way that we possibly can.
I would say the biggest problem with the chargebacks for you guys is if somebody has a buys for €5 and they want to charge back, the chargeback is going to be higher than the value. So even disputing it will be a loss.
Yeah, it'll be a lost revenue, because I think the fee's $30, isn't it? So we'd have to charge
Precisely.
back we'd pay them back the $5 and then $30 on top. So, you know, we'd be losing $35, which isn't great. But ultimately, that person's then going to be blacklisted from the platform, so they won't come back on. And I think you might get 1 of 100 maybe doing that, maybe less. You know, I don't think people are going to be that rude when they do it. And when we've got a few things on there, we've got proof that person's had what they've ordered, what they've bought, we've got proof of digital stamp of it, it's going to be a lot harder for them to get that refund anyway.
Well, I'm going to tell you something, Mark. I saw this crazy, stupid video in YouTube of random people putting the sound when you are playing a video in Pornhub at the start.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they played that sound in front of their parents to see their reactions. Dude, everybody knew, even old people, everybody knew what the sound was. So I consider something very, yeah, but I consider something very hypocrite.
That they're hating on it, but they're watching it.
Yes, no, I won't tell my wife. She cannot notice that I'm subscribed to an OnlyFans account. What the fuck, dude?
I think ultimately, right, it's becoming a lot more accepted to do this line of work. But also, though, you've got to look at it. I fully support it, A, because I've got the platform, but B, I fully support it. And the reason I support it is, look at the government now, look at the world, right? You let's just say you're a single mother. Let's just take this hypothetical situation, right? You're a single mother. right? You've got a child, and you're not with the partner anymore. Where can you go and get a job that will give you enough money to have a very good lifestyle? There's not. So there's no incentive, especially in the UK. I can't talk for all European countries, but I'm talking about the UK, right? There's no incentive as a single mother when your children are in school to go to work, because you can just sit on benefits and you'll get more money getting that than going to work.
So,
Where if
so
you're a good looking girl, right, and you can do some content and you can make 10, 20, 30 grand a month doing this, why the hell would you not do it?
so I can just tell my wife I'm doing charity.
That's it. You do charity work.
I'm
Yeah.
doing charity.
It's for a good cause. You're
Yeah.
subscribing, you're buying for a good cause.
Worldwide that most countries are trying to control porn. Like in Florida alone,
In Spain, dude.
you have to verify that you're above 18 with ID and everything, just like your content
Yeah.
creator.
Yeah. So what happened was at the back end of the other year, age assurance guidelines changed, and they changed pretty much internationally as well. And we were actually looking to launch last year towards the back end, and I'm glad we didn't. To be fair, I'm glad that we didn't, because we probably weren't quite ready, and I think we may have launched with a few bugs, which I'm happy that we've not. But when age assurance guidelines, the new laws came out, it changed everything, because not just a user, well, the content creators have to be age and identity verified, but all users have to be age verified as well now, and that's on all any platform that requires any adult stuff. You have to follow these laws to the T, especially in the UK, to make sure you meet the age assurance guidelines, and that added quite a big headache to integrate all of that. I don't think it's control. I think it's a good thing, because it means that minors aren't going to be able to access adult content. If you remember a while ago, we spoke about this, Dennis, a while ago, about all of the campsites pretty much coming down and being given all of these big fines because they weren't meeting the guidelines to it. And I do agree with it, because children of a certain age shouldn't be able to go online and easily access that sort of content. I think it's right at a certain look. You're going to learn about it, right? You want to learn about it. As a child, they're very intuitive. I know I've got 4, right? They're very intuitive, and they're all young, so they're very intuitive. But I still want my kids protected, and I agree with yes, it costs a lot more money, and it did take a lot to set it up, and there was a big integration, and it was probably a 2 to 3 week bit while we then onboarded, went through verifications. It was like another application again, just to use some technology and software to make sure that we're using the right back end software to make sure that we age and identify and age assurance guidelines. And then it changed policies on the platform. It changed what could pop up on there, how videos came up. That all had to be rewrote. So we probably would have launched last year and then had to pull the platform straight down while we made all these changes, and they took a good few months to implement them all. So in a sense, it was a bit of a godsend for us to go, actually, no, let's do this and get this right first, because we don't want to go down these routes. And obviously we want to make sure that with the technology that is there today, that the videos and all the content, photos, what's being uploaded is of the correct people, and it's not fake. For instance, it's not like revenge, it's not child. So we want to make sure. I don't want to be one of these platforms that's in the press saying, this platform has loads and loads of this on and this one, because idiots have come on and hacked it and put all of this shit all over the platform. I don't want that. I want to make sure it is what it says it is, and it's adult only, and the faces that you see in the videos are only the ones that have been through our strict guidelines of age and identification process.
What would you set as a minimum age? Because certain countries you can drink alcohol at 16, even 15. You can drive a car.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, look, my opinion is my opinion. I think 18 personally, but I mean, if you're going to be able to drive a car at 16, and the legal age for and the legal look, whatever the legal age for consent for, I would say, sex is in that country is realistically what the legal age is that ours is set at. So if they're saying it's 18 or it's 21, our back end is set at whatever those countries say it is really, you know. I think as maturity 18, you know, you are technically an adult at 18. So, you know, I'm with saying 18. To watch porn, now listen, majority these days, mate, fuck me.
I think I was 11.
Hey, listen, my dad back in the day, my dad had a big my mum and dad had a big printing business, right? And they had a contract with uh, Television X and Playboy to print all the magazines. I remember being about 8 or 9 years old and going into the warehouse, right? And I went through the back and I just picked up this stack and I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And I was like, Dad, what's this?" I remember doing that and laughing, man. And he was like, "You don't look at those. Don't
I
look at
don't
those."
know. I don't know who this Pamela Anderson is, but
Yeah, she
damn.
looks good.
Yeah.
Ultimately, you can't. Whether we protect the children through the minors through what we're doing on our platform, there is so many other things online. You know, with Instagram, with TikTok, Facebook, and whatever, you know, Snapchat, that the kids will always be able, even just Google, they'll always be able to get on there and see adult content no matter what we do. There is absolutely zero way, you know, obviously on our platform it's different because you have to be a registered user. You've got to do your age assurance guidelines. So there's a lot of weight. That's, you know, that's pretty much bulletproof there in terms of that. But, you know, you as a child, you can just go online, jump on Google, and if you haven't got privacy settings on your internet, your kids can find porn in 2 seconds.
Yeah, of course.
Accountability leads to responsibility. That's what I always say. Yeah, yeah. So, you know, ultimately, as a parent too, you have to be somewhat responsible for what your child's on, you know, and what they're actually looking at.
I have one
My,
question for you.
yeah,
How old were you when you decided or started your first business?
14.
You were
I wasn't
14.
I wasn't legally old enough to work.
Yeah. So you can, yeah, but somehow you were doing it, right?
Yeah, but look, things. I'm 42, right, and things back then were a lot different. You could, you know, banks, the networking now, it's like Big Brother, right? Everything is watching you. Technology has you tracked through your phone, through your everywhere, your iPads, your iPods, your laptops, computers, everything's tracked now, and you're on a camera all the time, wherever you go, pretty much, especially in the UK. You know, everything's scanned digitally. And I personally hate it all. Um, but it's how technology's moving, and you can't bury your head away from it. You've got to kind of somewhat embrace it, I would say, to an extent, right? So they can't. You could hide a lot of stuff back then. You could work, and they wouldn't know. You know, you could do cash, and a lot of people back then, everybody paid cash, right? There was no. There was very few people who had. You know, there was no contactless, and there was very few card machines. So I worked, and everything I did was cash. So for me, it was great because I, you know, to me, £100 in cash made me a millionaire at 14 years old. You know, to me, that's what it felt like. If I went to work and I earned 50 quid or 100 quid, I was like, wow, I've got so much money at 14, 15, 16, you know, and then started to get a bit older and we branched out into other things and then started to make proper money with some businesses. And I was like, right, okay, how do we scale this now? And we want to get up to, you know, 6, 7 figures. How do we do that? And that's what we've been building.
Yeah, yeah. We remember we're teaching people, or well, not teaching, but telling people about our experiences, so they don't make the same mistakes as us. And yeah, what can they learn from you?
In regard to what, building a business?
Yeah, especially in the adult industry, because uh, that's what you are doing right now. Yeah.
Yeah, so in the adult industry especially, do your homework first and foremost. Understand that this is probably the hardest industry in the world to get into and to be successful if you set up wrong. If you set up right, if you set up right from the start and you do your due diligence and you get good banking partners like I've got with you guys, good merchants, and you get good rates, you'll make money. And you have to understand how to advertise as well. So it's not so much of a, I've got a good idea, I can go with it. Make sure you've got the capital behind you to do it. Don't risk, don't take too many risks with that. They always say no risk, no reward. But if you're going to do something you got no knowledge of it, all you're doing is taking a risk, and it's probably going to burn and fail. So do your due diligence, do your homework on what you're going to do. Make sure you've got the capital to do it. Find and do research on banking partners, and that's probably the most important part, is making sure you've got good banking partners and a good e-commerce side to be able to handle the transactions. Make sure you've got good payment gateways that are secure. Once you've got that, get yourself a good product, decide what field of adult industry you're going to go into, and make sure you've got a good product and you can actually compete up there and understand your industry. And from there, push the button and go make a fortune.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Actually, mom, sister, mother-in-law, if you have any questions, please write it in the comments. Yeah, questions for Mark. So next time he comes, he can reply to those. He can answer those, and click the like button, share, subscribe, and all those shits. And remember, do your homework, due diligence before going into the adult industry. Yeah, that's normal for any industry. Yeah, but especially in the adult industry.
And then just contact Dennis, because he's a great merchant. He'll give you great rates. You'll be successful.
A PSP. No, they can contact me. Dennis is retired. Dennis is a YouTuber now.
Yeah, look at that beautiful pool.
Yeah, he's a content creator nowadays. He's doing nothing in the company anymore.
Yeah. That's where you want to be, though, right? That's where you want to be. You want to be sitting at the top, making the decisions, sitting back, have worked hard, where you can sit back and relax and enjoy the fruits of your labor. That's what you want to do. It does. And then we can buy a nice big pool house like you, man.
Amazing. Thank you for your time, man.
Thank you for coming.
Take care, guys. Thank you.
We got it next. That's how you finesse. We come for they next.